Kirk Goldsberry, former VP of Strategic Planning and Research for the Spurs, as well as the lead analyst for USA Basketball. Talked about the Cavs and what he's seen, why he likes this team.
Yeah, I've loved them going back to last year, actually, when their defensive markers started to jump off the page. But when they added Donovan, I was kind of skeptical that they could get it to work. Credit to him and everybody else involved that has worked. There's the good news right now with them is they're number one in pro basketball in the NBA in net rating, which is arguably the most important telling statistic. We're deep enough into the year where that tells me something. The thing I'm watching with them is they're going to be great on defense, which is why I've always loved them. Their offense is slipping a little bit. And if there's one number on offense that I'm worried about, Brian, it goes back to your point about the roster. It's the three-point shooting number. It was unsustainably high at the beginning of the year. They came out scorching. But in December, I think they ranked 26th in the NBA in both three-point percentage and three-point makes per game. That's not going to cut it. I know you have talked about specifically a limitation on the wing there. I kind of agree. I think this team can start to look at three-point shooting as a target in any personnel moves that they're thinking of to get better, particularly on offense. The defense is going to be great. It might end up being the number one defense in the league. The question for me is, how can they get back to above average in that three-point shooting category, Brian?
So Chris Fedor, Cavs beat reporter from Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Is that kind of what you were getting at, a fair point, fair question there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, teams that compete for championships, Dave, typically don't start guys like Isaac Okoro, Lamar Stevens, Dean Wade at the small forward spot. I mean, that's occupied by Jason Tatum and LeBron James and Brandon Ingram, and you can just keep going down the list. And the problem is that many of those guys that the Cavs put on the court, it's an either-or proposition, right? If you're going with Dean Wade, that's probably the best blend of offense and defense, right? He can shoot from the outside, he can space the floor, and he's held his own on the defensive end as well. But with Lamar Stevens, yeah, you're getting the toughness, you're getting the defense, you're getting all those things that you love about Lamar Stevens, why J.B. Bickerstaff put him in the starting lineup. But he's not as much of an offensive threat. He doesn't have a consistently reliable three-point shot. And Isaac Okoro, we know the story there. Teams just ignore him on the defensive end of the floor. His guy is usually hovered very, very close to the paint, and he gets more open looks than any other player in the NBA from three-point range. And that just restricts your offense, right? And the spacing isn't the same with him on the floor as it is with someone else that would be a more reliable three-point threat. So as the trade deadline rolls around, that's something that the Cavs are going to be looking for, because the more shooting, the more spacing you can have, the better it's going to be for Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. The floor is going to open up for Jarrett Allen. So that's something that the Cavs really have to look into. It's something that they've been looking into for the last 2.5 years. The problem is their biggest weakness is the most difficult one in the NBA to fill. Like 3-and-D wings that can give you a little bit of offense and a little bit of defense and not be missing one of those components are very, very pricey, aren't usually available because they're so valuable to the team that has them. And the Cavs used basically all of their draft capital to get Donovan Mitchell here. So the asset cupboard is a little bit bare at this point in time.